So when you build a character, you don't care about increasing stats unless you have to. But the limitation is, of course, you can only have one leader in your squad. So you have to consider that, right? You don't want everyone to be a leader. The best leaders are actually brawlers, heavies, and deadeyes. If you want 5 saboteurs, go for it, man. But I cannot guarantee that you will win against players. Hello people of the earth and welcome back to QuickSave TV. My name is Mike and today I'm going to teach you how to manage your roster in Necromunda, what are some things you should look out for, and what are some interesting and creative exploits you can use to negate and neutralize some of the critical risks you're going to encounter. So let me load up one of my gangs. I'm going to load up Jagged Jeopardy because that's been my most successful gang. I've naturally gravitated to playing as Orlocks. That's my favorite clan, but as you play the game, one of the most critical things you're going to be doing is managing your roster, and the way you're going to be doing that is by selecting people, at first people who have dubious potential, but then by removing people that have no potential, that have no place in your team, and replacing them with people that do. And the way you do it is the following. There are certain critical things that we need to talk about, and we're going to take a look at them one step at a time. One of the first things you have to look at when you're building a perfect team is the way you build your characters. And the way you do that is by focusing on skills. You don't want to be spending time allocating stats. That's not very good. You want to be building skills. And the reason for it is as follows, right? When you increase 1 point in agility, you only receive 1% of ranged evasion and 1% of melee evasion. This is a pathetic reward for your invested points, and it costs me 50 experience points to do that. If I would to add a new active or passive skill, I would get a whole new ability, or I would add a whole array of stats, right? So for example, if we talk about Revel and Blood, yes, it's only activated when I attack the enemy, but it gives me immediately. It gives me at level 1, it gives me 5% damage absorption and 10% healing received. This is much better, much preferable to just having 1% dodge in ranged and melee. So there is no parity between stats and skills. Skills are just better. Passive skills, active skills, they're all just better. So when you build your characters, allow me to show you an example. So when you build your characters, I'm gonna recruit one character, which I'm going to sack because it wasn't my plan, but I want to demonstrate it. So when I hire a character, let's say I'm hiring someone I am fairly familiar with. I'm hiring a heavy, and we're going to hire her a little bit more experienced, right? We're going to hire a champion ganger. She has a whole bunch of injuries, but it doesn't really matter. We're not going to bother with the skills, but it's kind of important too, right? When you're talking about these traits, right? The way you want to think about these traits is by selecting traits that will most facilitate your selected playstyle. For example, when I created my leader fighter, I created her with brawler, right, with an ability with athletic. So she has more strength and more top strength. So she's stoic, she has more willpower, and so she's disciplined. She's focused on connecting melee attacks. Why is this important? Now, strength is important to bypass enemy stun resistance. It's actually critical to stun enemies more often, more frequently. Willpower is critical to avoid suffering stuns and to increase stress resistance, to throw off some of these negative effects, which actually makes her quite broken because she's you actually cannot control her with control abilities. And melee prowess, I mean, it's obvious, right? I want to have an ability to connect as many attacks as possible, and I never want to completely miss my attacks, right? So that was my strategy. Your strategy may be different, and that's okay, right? You can focus on other aspects of your character, but you have to remember, right? You have to remember that you have to have a priority, you have to have a plan, right? So with Clem, the new guy we just hired, I'm going to demonstrate to you how you should allocate the experience points. I do not have the discount from armory, I think, or what's it called? I don't remember, right? The one that gives you a discount on experience investments. So you should have it as well if you're planning to build a big team. It's a very critical building. But we're going to work with him, right? So what I want to build out of him is I want to build a nice heavy gunner, and I'm going to demonstrate to you why spending stat points is not as efficient as spending other things. So I'm going to invest a couple of points into accuracy. I'm going to need it later on. So I've already spent 20 experience points. And what did I accomplish? I got 6% ranged critical hit chance. 2% actually. And I also got 2% melee critical hit chance, which is completely unimportant, irrelevant, because I'm not going to be using melee weapons with this guy. Now, let's talk about abilities, right? I'm going to get myself a nice Gatling Frenzy, which costs 25 experience. It costs more, but instead of giving pathetic 2% crit chance, I am getting a whole new ability, a whole new skill. Very important, very powerful. And for my passive ability, I am thinking to get something along the lines of maybe self-preservation, but I don't want to spend too much time on it, but maybe weapon barrier, right? Again, take a look. I'm getting 10 initiative, 5 ranged evasion, 5 melee evasion. This is comparable, right? In stats, it costs 25 experience points, but this is comparable in stats to investing 5 points into agility, which costs 5, already 50 experience it costs, right? And it is also comparable to investing, because we also get the initiative, right? It's also comparable to investing 5 points into alertness, right? Because you get the initiative. This is very important, right? So when you build a character, you don't care about increasing stats unless you have to. Stats is something you increase at an absolutely final stages of building your character, and you have to remember that, because increasing the stats of your character is something you shouldn't even consider until you get to the very final points of developing your character. And again, I'm only increasing stat points when I need to get a new level, right? I'm only doing that, and then I continue continue leveling the abilities that I want my character to have. I need intelligence, toughness, alertness. What about here? Heavy-footed is an okay skill. Let's level up this. Again, right, I'm only focusing on abilities. Now, I need 2 points in toughness. Fantastic. Now that we got this, we can maximize this skill and maximize this skill. Nice, we have level 4 now. We can get a bunch of more nice abilities that we might not want. I want to get intelligence to level 12, because I want to make sure that I get absolute best abilities here. And I don't want to... So in this situation, I'm increasing my stats. Why? Because I want to get to level 5 quicker, and I want to use that to get the absolute best perks that I can. Cool, we're at level 5. Now the critical consideration that you have to do is, do you want this character to be a leader, right? Was it a plan all along? Maybe. Okay, cool, maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. If it was, we can promote him to a leader. If we don't have to do that, right? If we promote him to a leader, he will have more total stats at the end, and he will have, or at least more total stats easier, and he will have better access to some of the fantastic abilities. But the limitation is, of course, you can only have one leader in your squad, so you have to consider that, right? You don't want everyone to be a leader. Very few characters are actually exceptional leaders, and you don't want to spam them, so to speak. You only need a few good leaders. I actually never feel like I need to replace my leader in any team composition. I just add different soldiers. Oh, that's nice. Reload weapon. Oh, it's god-awful actually, because he's never going to reload his weapon ever, because he's a heavy. Heavies do not actually reload their weapons, and this is this segues nicely into what I wanted to talk about next, and more specifically, it's the system of vice and virtues. And I'm going to keep leveling this character until I get all the vice and all the vices and all the virtues. No, I don't really care about that. This is a pretty nice ability. So he turned out to be quite a heavy tank, right? With some nice abilities to deal damage. Now, okay, and now that I have everything at the max, now I am free to invest abilities as I want to, right? My stats as I want to do that, and now I can do whatever the hell I want, right? I never want to spend time on melee prowess or accuracy. Oh, accuracy is great. Ranged aptitude, accuracy, alertness, willpower, intelligence, toughness and agility are all great. So strength and melee prowess are useless. So we're going to focus on things like this. Oh, allow me to mute this. This is not nice. Mute. Okay. So back to you, right? So now we're going to level up our character until we get the Vice. And once we get his Vice, we will relax. Nice. We got the Vice. Okay, so this is how you level up a character, and first I'm going to level up all of my abilities as close as I can to the final... Excuse me, that's a mistake. So, I'm going to level up all of my abilities to their closest limit as I see fit, as I see necessary. And now we have a character at level 7 that has a lot of all of his skills, right? Whether or not it's an optimal build, that's not the topic of this discussion, right? But that's the way you level up a character. Notice we have a lot of ways to go, right? But we already have all of our skills, and that's very, very important because it makes our character extremely, extremely powerful. And the next thing here, take a look, is that we have all of his personality stuff. And this is actually how you decide if the character is good, if the character will stay with you, or if the character is trash and you should get rid of him. Now, cocky, plus 5 AP, cost of kneel, that's very bad because I'm going to be kneeling a lot. Kneeling is very important when you play against other players, and it's very nice when you play against AI opponents because you can hide from their barrages, and it's very, very nice. Injury resistant general is okay. I mean, it's a nice addition. It's not bad. Calm, the cost of reload weapon, is useless, right? So, useless, bad, moderately useful. So he only has a one useful personality trait. This means his character is trash, right? We're going to lay him off because he's completely useless to us. And this is the way you develop a character. Now, I just threw away 2,500 credits. You don't have to do the same, right? But this is the way you plan around building your characters. One of the things that makes me decide, okay, do I like this character or not, is of course his abilities, right? This character has 2 good abilities and 1 bad ability, 1 really bad ability, right? So all of my stances cost 16% more AP. It means that my ambush with two-handed weapon costs 29 AP as opposed to 25, a very big problem. But she has a survival instinct, which is really good, because once she gets critical damage, she gets extra MP and she gets extra, she gets extra MP, which is really nice, which allows me to chase down targets, which is very good. And courageous, which is especially useful for my playstyle, right? When I engage her with 2 enemies, when she gets surrounded, she becomes harder to kill. She gets hit resistance and she gets critical hit resistance, which makes her tankier and very, very annoying to fight against. She is kind of like a Goliath in melee, even though she's just an Orlok girl, right? And of course, when I was leveling her up, I focused on leveling up her abilities, right? And then I focused up on leveling up her stats. As you can see, I still haven't leveled up all the stats, and I have some unspent points, which is very good. Your characters can level up past level 10. Past rank 10, so keep that in mind. You can always level up your character, continue doing that, as long as you have the experience points to do so, right? But the core of your character is abilities, right? Active and passive abilities. Now, what happens if you get a permanently wounded character? How can you actually neutralize this risk, and how can you work around it? There's another great way to do that. Take a look. You can, after every mission, you should do the following, right? You should go to recruitment screen, you should select any class you want, and you should choose Champion Ganger and C. Okay, she has 1 wound. Alright. Mighty Ganger, she has 3 wounds, right? She's completely bad, right? We're not gonna take her. 1 wound. Top Juve. 1 wound, very bad, and competent Juve, non wound, right? So our goal here is to find characters with as high experience as we can with no wounds, right? Let's take a look at the other class. This refresh after every time you recruit a character and every time you finish a mission. So you should do it very frequently, you should do it fairly frequently, and this way you can search for characters to replace your, in your roster. Okay, this is catastrophic damage. This character is completely useless. Okay, pretty bad. Very bad. So you want the ones with no wounds, like this, right? It's only top Juve, right? But it's pretty good nonetheless. And I will show you another interesting exploit. Very fun. Alright, that's some wounds. Okay, that's nice, right? No wounds, we can use her, right? We can hire her. So this way we get a character that is we can customize, right? That has no wounds and has a lot of experience to spend already. Oh, this one is also no wounds, right? This one is wounded. Oh yeah, this one is a great choice, Mighty Ganger, right? So if I wanted to replace my Technician, I could, right? And this way you get an opportunity to receive a character with new vices and new, most importantly, new traits, virtues, right? Virtues and talents. It's very, very important because this way you can get the best characters for the job. I started with these characters over here, right? Maui, Wire, Maya, and Grim, right? These were some of my beginning characters, but I didn't like their abilities, right? Acrophobic, that's a character ending right there. Plus 5 AP cost of jumping, right? I jump all the time. And here, right, he's inattentive, the range damage is reduced, unacceptable. So these characters are not good. I didn't throw them away because I didn't have to, but they cannot be part of my main roster. The new replacements that they have, take a look at Drake, right? He's impatient, right? So it's harder for him to disengage. Doesn't matter because I don't care about disengaging. He has a nice pain tolerance. When he's heavily wounded or gravely wounded, he has increased survivability. And his first melee attack of every turn ignores enemy evasion. So it's a perfect character. All of the 3 abilities I like. I don't care about impatient. As I said, it doesn't matter. It never comes into play for me. So so it's a perfect character. And here, Basilisk, right? So she's negligent. She has a ranged precision lower, which sucks, but it sucks much less than dealing lower damage, right? She's prepared, so cost of Overwatch is decreased, and combined with the ability of Orlocks, the Outrider, minus 33% cost of Overwatch, her Overwatch consistently costs 15 AP, which is really nice. And another ability that she has is Blast, right? She cannot die, she cannot get multiple traumas, and she has higher chance of fast recovery, which synergizes well with me always having a medical lab, right? So as you see, right, this is what makes your character, the personality trait. Any character can potentially be relatively good with his abilities and skills, but not every character will have good personality traits, and that's something you have to look out for, and that's something you really, really care about when you're building your roster. Now, another final piece of advice for you guys. When you start playing the game, right, you might want to actually try and get a whole bunch of crazy, maybe melee warriors, right? Or maybe saboteurs. But my advice to you guys is to start with a balanced roster of an engineer, a saboteur, a heavy, a deadeye, and a brawler. This way you will get to experience what a balanced composition looks like. And this experience will help you understand, okay, what kinds of characters do I actually want in my team, and what kinds of imbalances can I afford, right? Maybe I don't need saboteurs, maybe I don't need engineers, right? And then you can make educated decisions, right? But I have to say, in my experience, right, just as in the single-player campaign, the best leaders are actually brawlers, heavies, and deadeyes, and that's because they have some of the best weapons in the game, and they are able to deal catastrophic damage to the enemy easily and quickly. Every time Mace Macy makes a turn, for me, she kills somebody, right? This is not something I would be able to accomplish if she was a saboteur, right? Of course, there are other things you have to consider. How do you use the additional things like that? How do you use jolt seeds and grenades? And how do you use things that are absolutely catastrophic? Slot, for example, I will tell you about it later. But the question here is, okay, what is the best character to be the leader? What is the best build for the leader, right? And how is my leader will be utilized at in my missions, right? And how I can use him to the utmost of his abilities. And of course, As I said, as you get more experience in the game, you can of course do whatever you want, right? If you want 5 saboteurs, go for it, man. But I cannot guarantee that you will win against players. A balanced roster, a balanced team is a very good idea. It's not good in every type of mission, but it's good to understand how the game actually works. So you can understand, oh, okay, so, well, what can engineer add to my team? What can a Deadeye add to my team? And then you can experiment from there and actually learn the game. Thank you so much for watching and listening. As always, I hope this was helpful to you. Stay tuned for more content about Necromunda. I'm planning to release a bunch more that will be really educational and in-depth, as I like to do, as you guys no doubt know me for. Subscribe to see more content and tell your friends about me. Thank you so much for watching and listening. Have a fantastic day, and I'll see you soon.